And of course she's Czech, so we expect stuff like this. You know, she dances around and sings to herself. So my wife kind of, my grandma's just sitting there holding our hands doing this. And my wife kind of looks over at me like, what the hell? It's like, I think she's going to vomit. Well, she'd eaten all of her breakfast. So, I mean, that was just like, you know, I was like, I think this means she's about ready to, because I get sick easily. So I thought, well, yeah, she's probably sick. And she laid back and died. And it's like, whoa. I mean, we're holding her hands and stuff like that. And so my mom comes in. I said, Mom, Grandma's having an episode. And of course, my mom looks at me. She goes, what? She goes, no, Mom is dying. I was like, oh, well, what do we do? She goes, there's nothing to do. She's not going to be buried here. Just go. Just go on the plane and go. It's kind of a weird feeling just leaving her with your daughter, you know, kind of dead like that. But it's like, okay, it kind of made sense at the time because there was nothing bad. We're talking good things. She laid back and that was it. I thought, gosh, what a great way to die. So the doctor was wrong. She lived a month and a half. But I think she reached the point where there was nothing further to do. And this is what Dr. Still was about. No matter how bad the patient, you never tell them it's hopeless. A student, old doc says, never tell the patient it's hopeless. Now, now, you may tell the family it doesn't look good and prepare them, but you do not tell the patient. You do not know what their body's ability is. Amazing. And in this case, that was true of my grandmother. She might have needed that month and a half to have a little more time with us, and maybe as much for us as for her. And you see this in patients that refuse to let go. They're waiting for something. And all indications are they should have died 5 days ago. And they're pumping them full of morphine, so, you know, because it's time to let them go. And they still won't die. It's as if they have something they're waiting on. And finally, usually someone said, look, you can let go. And they will, like almost always. Everything's fine, everything's taken care of. And almost when they hear that, within an hour, they'll be gone. And I've seen that happen in families too. But it's one of those things Dr. Still said, you don't know the ability. They might need that extra week. As he said, we're not keeping them alive forever, but you never tell a patient it's hopeless. You don't know what they're needing. They might need another week or another month and a half. Funny thing about it is, the Chinese New Year comes up, you can track the deaths of the Chinese, and there is a number that every month dies until the Chinese New Year. And no one dies. Very few people die. As soon as the New Year's over, the number that should have died and all those that didn't die the previous month die, double the number dies after the holiday. Now, it could be they were partying too hard, but it is almost like they selected their death, that they refused to miss the party. And my grandma refused to miss Christmas. And it didn't matter that the body was shredded and broken. The spirit said, I'm not done yet. And the body must respond to the spirit. And so it is an interesting thing that we work with. We don't want to forget the body and the spirit. The mind just lets the two get along. And that's what we call the triune. So kind of finishing up, the body can heal itself. It does all these cool things with nutrition. If you adjust the body and you have nutrition, then you usually have good health. You seek health. This is what Dr. Still was doing. He wasn't, again, looking for disease. Anybody can find disease. Health. So find your health, and that's what will get you through this journey. No apology. I am just so bad with this. How does it open? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I get an osteopath in here. Get me adjusted. Again, nature has no apology. It's perfect already. This is what Dr. Still said. Millions of years of evolution, we're already pretty darn perfect. But then we lock ourselves in buildings. We use antibacterial soap. We don't eat the foods that are natural. It's like we actually prevent ourselves from existing in the world that created us. And that's why Dr. Still says every day, get outside and walk, breathe the air, commune with what you are, your nature. But if we bring ourselves away from it, pretty soon nature will become our threat. And so our body will recreate itself into something that can't live with nature. So again, basically line up the parts, food and rest are all that are required. So we got Dr. Still drinking from the well, the same well that killed his kids. No, just check for dead fowl. No, anyway. All long-lived birds and animals that they eat few foods should be a lesson. Not to, but he says long-lived animal will eat few things and not very much. Look at the turtles on Galapagos Island. Of course, my attitude is, who wants to live like that turtle on the Galapagos Island, eating those nasty leaves for 100 years? So, but Dr. Still said, I'll eat quick and trot, and I'll have health and strength. Get rest, and Dr. Still would actually get up on his treatment table. When he got too old to use it, I mean, he'd still get treatments for other people, he'd just sleep on it. So, get your proper rest. Walk every day, and you get the gossip. So, that guy that was dying, that he treated the body and said, I think you're giving up. See, what had happened was that was a student. And they didn't want A.T. Still to know the student was dying. So he didn't tell him. So A.T. Still goes out for a walk. He's like, too bad about that student, Asa. What's wrong with Asa? Oh, he's dying. Don't you know? Where is Asa? Oh, he's over there on Pier Street. A.T. Still goes over there, treats him and says, don't give up. And Asa survived. Asa lived to be well into his late 90s and brought osteopathy in Missoula and all through the western states. So, ride a bike. Sense of humor. You've got to have a sense of humor. Playing sports. Dr. Still supported sports. Climb trees. He's 83 years old. Now, of course, the old man climbs a tree in those boots. It's not easy to climb a tree in slippery boots. But, if the old man, then everybody else has to climb the tree, not to be outdone by the 83-year-old man. So, that's why he's got all these women climbing up the tree after him. Go outside as much as possible. He wrote his autobiography. This is what he's doing in this picture. He's telling his life story. Kicked back. You got to tune into nature's perfection. He says, that's how I came up with osteopathy and a lot of things. I literally shut out all the noise of who I was and words. See, the Shawnee taught him this. I know you call them the indigenous aboriginals. We call them Indians because they tell us to call them Indians in the United States. They were Native Americans, and then there's now we're American Indians. So, the students, and we have a lot in our Mesa campus. And so I just know that I'm going to act as if I'm in the United States, and what our students would tell me that are of Indian descent is, call me an American Indian. It's like, okay. So anyway, but Dr. Still learned through working with the Shawnee to not use words. Their words were very well chosen and could convey a lot. So often he'd think in Shawnee and then translate it to English. Love and be loved. That's what my religion is love and be loved. And I never heard of A.T. Still not accepting any person. Oh, he was critical. If someone came, to get an adjustment on their feet and their feet were all filthy dirty. It's like, and next time you come, use a little soap, Hygiene was important. But, again, Dr. Still was, you still treat him, but he also had some standards too, It's like, you can be a little cleaner. That's the thing about Dr. Still. He always wore the same clothes because that gave him money, if he didn't buy new stuff, to give to the poor. But they were always clean.